There's nothing like a frog to put you in a good Southern accent, I'm telling you. Right. Okay. That'll be a weird thing for people tuning in to start with. Why do you say that? All right. Well, we're picking up Sri Sharda Devi and her divine play, looking at this idea of the divine feminine, God incarnating as the divine mother. And we've just seen, mother's care, and she just told one of the disciples to go home and get some good care from his family, and then come back when he's feeling better. And here it starts on page 404. The blessing of a divine being never fails. Oops, we've got somebody trying to come in here. And right away, we've got a beautiful promise like that. The blessing of a divine being never fails. And so we get Mother's blessing, obviously just being here is our sign of that blessing. So the blessing of a divine being never fails. Holy Mother always thought about the monks' welfare. Once in Jairambati during Durga Puja, the monks and devotees offered flowers at her feet. When they were finished, she said to Brahmachari Bharata, "Bring some more flowers. Offer them while mentioning the names of Rakal and Tarak and Sharat and Koka and Yogin and Golab, and offer flowers on behalf of all my known and unknown children in the world." So guess what? You had a flower offered to mother. You were the unknown child of the mother. So offer flowers on behalf of all my known and unknown children in the world. Afterward, she remained silent for a while with folded hands, looking at the picture of the master. Then she prayed, "Master, bestow welfare on everyone in this life and the next. Please look after them." So if you want to know how to pray for somebody, there's a beautiful way to do it. No particulars. She's not making any presumptions, but she's praying for the welfare of everyone, everyone, everywhere. And that's just her heart, really. In 1918, during her birthday celebration, the mother accepted flower offerings from monks and devotees in the Udbodhan house. When everyone had left, she said to Brahmachari Bharata, "Today is an auspicious day. Please offer flowers on behalf of the monks and devotees of Koalpara and Jairambati." Then she prayed to the master to bless them all. Holy Mother and her disciples. Holy Mother's love was so deep and so rare that those who lived with her felt it even in her actions. Once in Jairambati, Brahmachari Jnana, later Swami Jnanananda, had such a severe case of eczema that he could not feed himself. While he was sick, the mother fed him and then removed his leaf plate for him. Brahmachari Rasbahari, later Swami Arupananda, was busy with the construction of Holy Mother's new house in Jairambati. One day, he went to a neighboring village to do some errands, but did not return before lunch. It was a short winter day. He returned a few hours before evening and heard that Mother had not had her meal, but was instead waiting for his return. He rushed to her and remonstrated, "Mother, your health is not good. Why have you been fasting all this time?" The mother replied, "My son, how can I eat when you have not yet eaten?" Rasbahari immediately sat for his meal so that Mother and the other women devotees would take their food. How many mothers in this world would treat their children in this way? It's beautiful to see. It's right that he said that mothers are this way. That's absolutely true. But you look at the Divine Mother. I mean, she was in such a position of respect and had so many disciples and so many people crowding around her all the time for her attention. It's just beautiful to see that even in the midst of that, she never thought of herself that way. That she would show respect to this brahmachari, not even a sannyasin, just a brahmachari. She wouldn't eat until he got back. just couldn't imagine eating before he ate. In Jairambati and Kualpara, the mother lived a normal life among the villagers, free from the routines and restrictions of Calcutta. In 1911, Sharadananda sent a young monk named Prakash to escort Holy Mother from Jairambati to Calcutta. On the way to Calcutta, the mother stopped at Kualpara. That's that very small little town that mother had. There was a little tiny ashram built there right by a little bathing ghat. It's a very quaint and quiet place. It's a beautiful place to go. The villagers there are just the sweetest people I ever met. And it's a lovely ashram with a big old tree out front and a bench underneath it. You walk just a ways down this path past the pond, and you come to this little walled compound with a gate, and you go in there, and mother has a little cabin in there where she would stay whenever she was traveling between these two places. So mother stopped at Kualpara. She wanted to walk with Keshavananda's mother to her house, but Prakash wanted to go by palanquin. This upset Holy Mother, and she scolded him. Look, this is a village, and I regard the ashrama as part of my home. These boys, they are my own people. I want to lead a free life in Kualpara. I give a sigh of relief here to be free from any cage in Calcutta. There you have to keep me confined, and I'm always cautious about my movements. I simply will not be controlled here at every step. If you like, you may write to Sharat about it. The monk immediately begged her forgiveness. So here comes Greg. So she also liked that freedom. She didn't want to be attended too closely or too carefully. That evening, Prakash hurried the local monks to prepare mother's supper so they could resume their journey quickly. The mother said to him sternly, "Why are you losing your temper and yelling at these monks? This is a village. Here, everything does not move according to the clock like in Calcutta. Don't you see how these boys have been working tirelessly since morning? Whatever you may say, we shall not start before eating." The mother had so much feeling for the monks. Finally, she left for Vishnupur by bullock cart at about 8 o'clock. On the 31st of January 1917, the mother left for Jairambati from Calcutta. On her way, she stayed at Jagadamba Ashrama for a couple of days and then continued on her journey. A few days before Ramakrishna's birthday, Brahmachari Bharata brought some groceries for the mother by bicycle from Kualpara. The mother gave him some prasad and asked him to stay at Jairambati that day, as there was a thunderstorm imminent. But Bharata would not listen to Holy Mother because he had had some duties to take care of in Kualpara. On his way back to Kualpara, he was caught in a hailstorm and suffered terribly. He walked the rest of the way back to Kualpara with his bicycle along the muddy path. That night, he had a fever. The next day, Holy Mother sent her maid with a letter to Kualpara to get news of Bharata. I mean, look at that. That's just amazing. She sends somebody to Kualpara after him leaving, send someone with a note all the way to find out how he is. To get news of Bharata, when he visited Holy Mother in Jairambati a few days later, she said, "You were stubborn and you didn't listen to me. I was worried about you when you left. I suffer when someone does not listen to me and gets into trouble. My son, you should listen when someone advises you from the heart." Well, that's a beautiful way of saying that. You should always listen when someone talks to you from the heart. Holy Mother as a guru. In 1907, Jitin, Kagan, and Tarun were 3 young disciples of Holy Mother. They visited her at Jairambati. Filled with the spirit of renunciation, they sought her blessing to spend the rest of their lives as wandering monks, practicing austerities. They also wanted to take sannyas vows from her. Holy Mother told them that the master's monastic disciples generally initiate aspirants into sannyasa, but they insisted that she herself give them the ochre cloth. She told them that she would think about it. and let them know the next day. The next day she said, "Today you must shave your heads and dye your cloth ochre. Tomorrow I shall initiate you into sannyasa." Wow, exciting. I remember doing that. When we got Bellarmont for sannyas, we had 52 men in my batch who took sannyas together. And of those 52, two of them disappeared with a note saying they weren't ready to do it. And one of them got sick, and so he wasn't allowed to do it. But it's really a very exciting time that you do have to color your cloth, and you have to learn how to do it with the original mud from the Ganges. And so out behind the monastery there at Bellarmont in a courtyard, they have all these big cement tubs that they filled up with dye for us, and filled up with water anyway. And then we would take a big bucket and dunk it in there, and then put our clump of dye into the bucket, and then take our white brahmachari cloths that we had and put it in the bucket and make sure it's completely covered and saturated. And then you take it out and dry it. And then you fold that up, and we fold it up into a little bundle, and that gets tied with a little piece of grass. And then you turn it in. And I didn't know what was going to happen to it, but it turns out that on the night of the sannyas vows, your bundle is given back to you by the president right after your ceremony. It's God, it's an intense ceremony. It was hours long. It took the whole night. And there at Bellarmont, they closed the whole campus. The brahmacharis are all have to stay in their training center. They're not allowed to come out. The whole campus is closed down. They put guards at all the places to make sure that nobody sneaks in. All the windows on the temples are blocked with wood so that nobody can peek in at the ceremony that's going on in there. And wow, the intensity of it was just amazing. For a couple of hours, I sat there in front of a fire, just doing these chants of renunciation. And you start, renouncing all the gross stuff, the material stuff outside. And then you start renouncing all the thoughts. And then you end it by even renouncing even the impetus of thoughts, even the impetus of a desire or a wanting. And each time you're sitting there dipping your leaf into the ghee, and then throwing it into the fire, and it's just blazing because there were 2 rows of monks sitting around. I was in the front, and then there was a row behind me circling the fire, and we had 3 fires going. And for several hours, we sat there just chanting and putting it in. You get into this amazing, amazing state. It's just, I can't really express how fundamental it goes. Just you're letting go of everything, and you're doing it there. In the main temple there, all the monks are there. All the sannyasins are there. So there's like 350 sannyasins sitting on the floor, covering the whole floor of the temple. And you go up, and after you've done your offerings and have renounced everything, then you go over and you take everything that you've got, everything, and you throw it in a pile, and that gets burned. And then you walk as you are up to Sri Ramakrishna, and you do a full Ashtanga Pranam to Sri Ramakrishna in the inner sanctum there of the temple. And then you get up and turn around, and you walk through a line of all 300 of the monks, and you get to the sannyas guru who's sitting at the end, and he's got your staff, and he's got your bundle, and he's sitting there, and you just do an Ashtanga Pranam to him. He hands you your bundle and your staff. And then all of us, after everybody has their bundle and their staff, everybody goes out down to the river, to the Ganga, and we take our bath there, just letting everything go. You snap your, it's peculiar to the Ramakrishna order, to our vows, that you snap your staff. that you're giving up all help, of all other help except for God. And so you snap the staff and throw it into the water, and then you come up and you put your new Garawa on, and then you go to the president's quarters in order to get two things. One, to get your new name, and then also after you get your new name, you beg your first food from the president, and he gives you a little boxed breakfast, and everybody goes out and sits at Vivekananda's Ghat out behind the old temple and sits there and eats together. Our first meal as sannyasins. What an experience. And she's doing this for these young men here. Our whole process was 10 days long. We get for sannyas, you get herded into a little sannyas camp that they outside. It's outside, and they just wall it in with sheets of sorts, block you off from the rest of the campus, and we live in there. And every day we would go out from there to go begging to bring our food, to get our food, and we'd go outside of the campus and do our begging. And you're not allowed to ask at more than 7 households, I think it was, and you're not allowed to accept food from more than 5. And when you've either gotten your food or whatever, you come back and you dump your food on this big giant tray, and all the food just goes in one big pile. The dals, the rices, the sweets, I mean, everything just goes in one big giant mound. And it's really quite wonderful that while when you get back to the sannyas camp and you're waiting for everybody to get back from begging for their food, they've got the harmonium out, and this is the first time that I actually danced with the monks, because for an hour or two while we're waiting for everybody to get back, everybody was just singing these wonderful devotional songs and dancing around the harmonium and the tabla as they were playing. And it was just, what a celebration. We were so happy, because everything in our life up until that point was leading to that ceremony, and now it was finished, and we're all there in our Garawa and begging for food, and our shaven heads, and oh my God.
Conrad, it's
yes.
always on Thakur's birthday, right?
Yes, every year on Thakur's birthday. And everybody who's a monk in the Ramakrishna order has to go to Bellarmine to take their sannyas vows. They don't give them anywhere else. And so, all right, so today you must shave your heads and dye your cloth ochre, and tomorrow I will initiate you into sannyasa. On the 29th of July, 1907, the mother finished her worship in the morning and then handed over the ochre cloth and loincloths to her disciples. She prayed to the master, "O master, please see that they keep their monastic vows. Please see that wherever they may be, in hills or jungles or wilderness, that they may get something to eat." Jitin wanted to go to Rameshwaram on foot. The other 2 wanted to go to the Himalayas as wandering monks. And that's the thing, after the sannyas, everybody goes, you get a month, and everybody, you pick your partners, and you all head off into the mountains. I went up to Mayavati, and these two of my batchmates were up there. I met them up there. And every single day, after breakfast in the morning, we'd get up and we'd go out wandering up into the mountains on these wonderful footpaths, usually that the shepherds and the goat herders use, and the women who are collecting firewood. And they're go all through the mountain. And we'd go up there and we would just walk until we found a great place, with a good view of the Himalayan peaks in the distance, to sit down. Then we would just do practice all afternoon. And then when it was evening, we'd get up and wander back down to the monastery for arati. I have some pictures of that. Maybe I'll pick up after class. Maybe I'll show you some pictures. On the 29th of July, 1907, the mother finished her worship in the morning and then headed over to the ochre cloths and then handed out. and then handed over the ochre cloths and loincloths to her disciples. She prayed to the Master, "Please see that they keep their monastic vows. Please also see that wherever they may be, in the hills, the jungles, or the wilderness, that they may get something to eat." Jitin wanted to go to Rameshwaram on foot, and the other wanted to go to the Himalayas as wandering monks. Holy Mother did not approve of their plans, and she told them, "You have now come under the shelter of the Master, so you don't need to practice too much austerity. As you have a desire to be itinerant monks, walk to Varanasi, stay at the ashrama there, and practice spiritual discipline under the guidance of Tarak, Swami Shivananda. Take your monastic names from him and carry my letter to him." Right. See, she's just got that heart of that mother. No, I don't want you. I don't want you out begging food from strangers and being out in the wilderness. I want you to stay near the ashram. You've come under Ramakrishna's care. You don't have to do too many austerities. Ramakrishna has done them for you. Just really setting them up for that grace and putting their minds on that grace. Holy Mother shed tears as they took leave of her and walked with them to Talpukor, a pond located at the border of the village. Following Holy Mother's instructions, Shivananda gave monastic names to Jitin, Kagan, and Tarun, who became Vishuddhananda, Shantananda, and Girijananda, respectively. Ordinary parents may encourage their children to get married and to lead a regular householder's life, but all children are not meant for family life. Some have finished their desires for a family in a previous incarnation, and in the present life they are born with the spirit of renunciation and love for God. They are the unsmelt flowers of the earth. When young men came to the Master and Holy Mother, they encouraged some to be monastics and others to be householders. They could see the inner tendencies of those who came to them, and they advised them accordingly. When Sharat and Shashi brought their friends to the Master in Dakshineshwar, he talked to them about renunciation. "Then, sir, is it wrong to marry? Is it against the will of God?" asked one of the boys. The Master asked him to take a certain book down from the shelf and directed him to read a particular passage that quoted quite Christ's opinion of marriage. "For there are eunuchs who were born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others. And there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept this should accept it." The mother then asked him to read St. Paul. "I say therefore to the unmarried and the widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn." 1 Corinthians 7:9. That's fascinating that he's teaching them from the Bible there on renunciation for the monastics. Holy Mother did not indiscriminately advise young men to renounce the world. She saw their past, their present, and their future through her divine sight and told them what course was right for them. Regarding marriage, she advised one person, "The householder's life is very painful and full of problems. If you don't marry, you will be able to sleep happily without any disturbance." Yet she said to another, "I can't give my opinion about your marriage. If you have any trouble after marriage, you will say, 'Mother, you gave me permission to be married.'" Another time a devotee said, "Mother, I shall not marry." And the mother said with a smile, "Why not? In this world, everything goes in pairs, such as 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 hands, 2 feet, and also Purusha and Prakriti, the male and the female." That devotee later married. A young devotee wrote, "Mother, I have no desire for marriage, but my parents are forcing me to get married." The mother commented, "Look, what torture." That's funny because when you are trying to make that decision, boy, you really just want God to pop right out of the sky and tell you what to do. Because it's a terrifying prospect. You have no idea how to determine if it's right for you or not. How do you know? And I remember asking Pravrajika Moksha Prana, on my last, when I was just about to leave, and I was really thinking about doing it, and I told my friend Philip that I was going to do it. And when I asked Prabhajika Moksha Prana, she said, "Oh, see, it's not." Oh, she didn't say "see." That's Swami Puttananda. But she said, "Oh, nobody can tell you that. That is something you must decide yourself." And I was totally bummed. I was like, "Oh man," because I wanted something secure, some real way of knowing. And so I left that uh, from the convent there in Dakshineshwar, and I was just about to get out the main gate, and someone, Gita Prana, came running behind me with a little paper bag, a little brown paper lunch bag. And I thought, oh, she's bringing me prasad. And I thought that was so sweet. Anyway, she got to me and she said, oh, she says, I'm so glad I caught you. Mother wanted me to give you this. And so I took the bag and I didn't open it right away. I don't know. That's sort of the way I am. I just didn't open it right away. When I was on the boat halfway across the river, I opened it up and it was an ochre chutter. And so I knew that I took that as my answer. I still have that chutter. I wear it whenever I'm wearing my Garawa. I wear that. That was her permission, her blessing.
That's really beautiful, Swami.
Yeah.
Really cool.
It was really great. I was still very insecure about it, though. I remember the day of the ceremony. We'd been 9 days, and we were on the last day for the final ceremony. That went all night. I was terrified. I just, I mean, I certainly wasn't like any of the other men there. I'd grown up in the West, and those boys, you look at their faces and there's just nothing but boyhood, nothing but purity there, just sweetness. And I was just felt so insecure. I was like, God, are you sure I should do this? I mean, this is pretty crazy. I mean, my life up until that point had just been hedonism, and I just wasn't sure. And so I went and I laid on the floor of Brahmananda's temple there at Bellarmont that afternoon. And I just laid on that cold floor and I told him, I said, I said, this is blasphemy for someone like me, to come to take these vows. I said, these ideals that we've been reading and chanting for the last 10 days, I said, they are so far beyond me, I can't even see them. I said, I'm terrified to do these vows because of that beauty of this ideal. I don't want to be a stain, I don't want to be someone doing something that shouldn't be done. And I said, I remember just telling him, I said, in about 4 hours, the ceremony starts. And I said, if you don't stop me, I'm going to be there doing it. And if it's not right, I beg you not to let it happen. And so it's ironically that afternoon is when 2 of the boys disappeared. And I was just like waiting, for me to disappear, that it was good, that mother was going to call me out. And she didn't. And I went through the whole thing. And I was very happy when I got my name the next day that Brahmananda, gave me his name. Chit Brahmananda was my name. And I was so grateful for that because, I never would have been able to hold that kind of confidence without something as, blatant and obvious as that. And so it was really a wonderful, wonderful, amazing thing to me.
Maharaj, was Rupeshanandaji same time?
Yes, our Rupeshananda and I, we were standing right next to each other in line. Yes, he did his. We did them together. I was so glad to have his company there for that. All right. Once another devotee said to her, Mother, I tried my utmost all these years to remain a bachelor, but now I see I shall not be able to make it. The mother assured him, saying, My son, don't be afraid. The master also had many householder devotees. Don't worry, it will be fine if you marry. These 2 paths, the path of enjoyment and the path of renunciation, have continued from time beginning of creation. So great teachers advise human beings accordingly. One day the mother's attendant, Mandakini, said to her, "Mother, all of your children are equal to you, yet you are giving permission to marry to those who seek your opinion about marriage, and again you encourage those who want to renounce. You're supposed to inspire and guide everyone along the path of good." Holy Mother replied, "You see, those who have a strong desire for worldly enjoyment, will they listen if I forbid them? And shall I not help those who have understood this play of the deluding power of Maya and have made God their only goal from the meritorious deed of many past lives? My child, is there any end to suffering in this world?" Once a young man passed his MA degree examination and wanted to be a monk. M suggested that he wait because his mother might be hurt, but Shivananda encouraged him to join the monastery quickly. Soon after, the young man came to the mother and asked for her blessing. She said, "My son, may your wish be fulfilled. Tarak, Shivananda, gave you the right advice." Rame was a young disciple of the mother in Jairambati. He was studying for his BA and wanted to become a monk, which was known to everyone in his household. One day the mother was cleaning her teeth and Rame was standing nearby. Nalini said to the mother, "Aunt, look, he is such a good boy. He has passed 2 examinations and now is studying for his BA. His parents raised him with great effort and are paying for his educational expenses. And now he wants to be a monk. He should earn money and support his parents. What do you think?" Holy Mother replied, "How can you understand this? They, meaning future monks, are not fledglings of a crow, but of a cuckoo. When they are grown up, they recognize their real mother and they return to her, leaving the mother who nursed them." Rame later took monastic vows and became Swami Gaurishwarananda. During her last days in Jairambati, Holy Mother gave the ochre cloth to a young man named Manasa. Overjoyed, that evening in Kali Kumar's parlor, he sang devotional songs on Mother Kali, accompanied by a harmonium. He sang, "There is nothing essential in this world except the Divine Mother Shyama. O Mother, I shall cast your form in my mind and save it there." The mother was happily listening to these songs, along with Ratu, Maku, and a couple of her sisters-in-law. Moved with sympathy, one sister-in-law commented, "Sister made this young boy a monk." Maku added, "The boy's parents raised him with great expectation, and now everything has fallen apart. Marriage is also a part of Dharma in this world. Aunt, if you continue to make monks like this, Mahamaya will be mad at you. Those who want to be monks, let them be of their own accord. Why should you be an instrument in this respect?" This is a very interesting thing to me. As a foreigner to India, it was always, it's been amazing to me all these years, actually, that, as spiritual as India is and as deeply, with such devotion, the whole race has carried these teachings, these scriptures through tens of thousands of years to deliver them. And yet the thought of a son becoming a monk is a horror. And I just can't get over that. I'm like, look at this ideal. What is this? I don't understand, I never have understood. It's been explained 1,000 times, but still how ubiquitous is this idea of what a tragedy it is for a son to become a monk. It's so contrary to the ideal. I just can't imagine it. I mean, those monks that I met when I was there, when I traveled there, I mean, they were the most beautiful people I'd ever met in my life. They were so loving and just so wizened and so, I don't know, just there was just a wonder about them to me. And I couldn't imagine. I mean, if I had ever ever had a son, that would have been my happiest thing in the world for him to do that. I would just be in awe him doing that. But it's a weird thing for me to say, I guess. Anyway, that's fine. It's par for the course. All right. So here she is, here the women are whispering to each other in exactly this vein, you're going to make Mahamaya angry if you make all these boys monks, Yeah, if they want to do it, let them do it. But why should you encourage them? Why should you enable this from them? All right. So why should you be an instrument in this respect? Holy Mother listened to their comments and replied, Maku, they are divine children. They will remain in this world as pure as untouched flowers. Tell me, is there anything happier than that? How much happiness are you experiencing in this world? Can you develop a little purity in your heart? You people live like animals. Oh my, can't you live with your husband like brother and sister? Your troublesome, miserable family life torments me. It is as if my bones are burning. Wow. Although Holy Mother was willing to initiate youths into sannyasa, before she did, she always checked whether their families would suffer without their financial support. During the summer of 1913, Brahmachari Devendra traveled from Varanasi to Jairabati to ask the mother for sannyasa. She inquired about his family's financial condition and also about his parents before asking him to bring a new ochre cloth from Kualpara Ashrama. She initiated him into sannyasa the next day. In some cases, however, Holy Mother refused to give vows of sannyasa. Once, two young men came to her during Durga Puja and asked her to initiate them into monastic life. They worshipped the mother's feet with lotuses. Observing their behavior and overflowing emotion, she said with a smile, My children, you will have to wait. Another young man wanted to be a monk and told his wife, Go to your parents with the children. I shall not stay at home anymore. I will be a monk. This helpless wife, who was the mother's disciple, wrote to the mother about her pitiable condition. Irritated, the mother said, Look, this is a horrible injustice. Where will this unfortunate girl go with her children? If he wanted to be a monk, then why did he marry and have children? If you want to be a monk, you should first arrange for their food and shelter. So, this, yeah. Yeah, the Ramakrishna Holy Mother, the order itself does not like the idea of someone taking vows after already starting married life. But I know a few examples where that has happened. But Ramakrishna is always very clear that if you're going to do that, you need to make arrangements for the care of if you're an only child and the parents have no one to take care of them. Because as you know, in India, they don't have Social Security and all of that. So if there's no one, if there's no children, it's quite a difficulty for the parents. And so Holy Mother and Ramakrishna, they were very, very adamant that you have to take care of your obligations, that you have to make allowance for their welfare if you're going to renounce, that you have to make sure that they're set up in a way that they won't suffer. If you want to be a monk, you should first arrange for their food and shelter. In 1911, Holy Mother returned to Jairabati after her pilgrimage to South India. One of her young attendants, Ashu, went with her on the pilgrimage and later told another monk that he missed the mother's company. On the 26th of May, 1911, when Holy Mother heard about this comment from the other monk, she said, How strange. A sannyasin must sever all bondage of Maya. A golden chain is as good as a shackle as an iron one. A sannyasin must not entangle himself in any form of Maya. Why should he constantly say, Oh, mother's love, I am deprived of it. What ideas! I do not like a man constantly hanging on me. At least he has the form of a man. I am not talking of God, and I am to move about with women. Ashu also used to come to me frequently in Udbodhan to make sandal paste or some other pretext. One day I warned him. Receiving the vision of God depends on divine grace. One monk was practicing austerities in Rishikesh. He wrote a letter to the Holy Mother. Mother, you told me that I would see the Master in time, but nothing has happened so far. The mother dictated a reply to her attendant. The Lord is not under any obligation to go forward to meet you just because you have gone to Rishikesh in the Himalayas. You have become a monk. What else will you do other than call on God? God will reveal himself when it pleases him. This is a great lesson all around there. You know, that the point of life is living, right? It's not to pine necessarily. It's to live every day, prepare yourself, clear your mind, you know, live to fulfill your intentions, you know, live for your realization. But you do it by being in the moment and by serving God and everyone and keeping your focus on the moment, on this moment, you know, and to live a life of love, to live a life of wisdom, and to do it purely right now, at every moment. It's we don't place something in the future and shoot for it. That's not spiritual. We're here, and we're surrendered at the feet of the Mother, and she'll take us when she takes us. She'll enlighten us when she enlightens us. She'll trouble us when she feels like trouble is the right thing, and we accept it all. And we take it in the moment. We create something beautiful out of it to our best ability, and we keep going. And we have no other request. We're owed nothing. You know, we deserve nothing. We simply are in this world as God is in this world. You know, just in a complete resignation and acceptance of it, seeing the divinity of it, and expressing our divine nature in it. And that's how life goes. That's our responsibility. That's where we're going. And you see, even this over that, you know, from the monks, it's quite a cool thing. You know, she doesn't want a clingy disciple. She wants that independence in her disciples. She wants that freedom. You know, it's we don't need anyone. we don't require anything, right? We are content and full always as we are in the moment. And so even if it's in devotion, Mother doesn't want a man who's, oh mother, oh my mother, my mother. You know, it's sentimental, and it's needy. It's not mature, and it's not independent. It doesn't show freedom, right? So we have to discipline ourselves and be here in the moment. It's not about showing a profusion of devotion. You know, it's living a very disciplined life where there is no self being taken into account, no personal needs, no personal wants, no personal preferences, and no personal aversions either. You know, you walk with Mother, but you walk independently and strongly in her grace. Holy Mother always emphasized that monks must observe their monastic rules and precepts. In 1906, when Brother Prasanna asked if a young brahmachari could join the wedding party for his second marriage, the mother said, no, he cannot go. He is a monk. The next day, Holy Mother would not even allow her monastic attendants to eat the sweet curd from the ceremony. Although surrounded by householders, she protected her monastic disciples from the influence of worldly life. The scripture says, the difference between the lives of monks and householders is like the difference between Mount Meru and a grain of mustard seed, the sun and the firefly, the ocean and a river. Holy Mother always asked monks to keep the banner of renunciation high and to maintain the dignity of their glorious lives. Once a distinguished householder devotee of the Mother wanted Swami Shantanananda to accompany him to Varanasi, and he offered to pay the monk's traveling expenses. When the Mother heard of it, she told the Swami, you are a monk. Can you not procure your own train fare? Why will you go with householders? If you travel in the same compartment, they may tell you, do this, do that. You are a monk. Why would you take orders from householders? Holy Mother showed tremendous respect to her monastic disciples. Brahmacharis Bharata and Hari were two of Mother's young disciples who did all kinds of errands for her and Radu, and also rendered her personal service. She initiated them into brahmacharya, but did not give them the ochre cloth. She said to them, "If you wear the ochre cloth, could I order you to do all of these things? I would feel hesitant even if you touched my feet." As their monastic vows were delayed, she consoled them, saying, "Don't worry. Later, Sharadananda, will arrange for your sannyasa." After Mother passed away, the two received sannyasa from Swami Brahmananda and became Ishanananda and Hari Premananda, respectively. This is a beautiful thing. She's warning them, this monk that wanted to travel with that group of householders. And it's not a class type thing where, oh no, you can't hang out with those people. But, people who live in the world and are accustomed to living in that mercantile everything, in the world, at least I haven't found anywhere but a monastery, and even sometimes it creeps into the monastery where there's no consideration of earning or getting or saving anything. And she's warning him about the householders because if you give money to a monk, it's why monks are very careful about how they accept money, how they do it, because almost anybody who gives money to somebody expects something in return for that money. And so it's quite a tricky proposition. So she's telling him, if you go on that trip and they're paying for everything and you're sitting in the same compartment with them, there's going to be some expectation of service on your part, whether they just want you to answer all their questions or whatever it might be. And so we have to be very cautious about our entanglements, not to entangle ourselves in the world unnecessarily. Well, this is for monks, but I don't see the two paths as being, I see them obviously as being very different, but I don't think the quality of people is different. We're all devotees and we're all serving the Divine Mother. And she has placed some of us on that path and some of it on this path. And we all go forward, but the requirements are the same. We're all called to renunciation. We're all called to devotion. We're all called to live for the welfare of humanity and to make that our sole principle in life. It's just that a householder kind of has more wiggle room, has a kind of a fortress to fight from, some family to be secure and a job and to give money so that you can take care of your enjoyments and sort of use your life as a householder to investigate these truths so that you can arrive at them and take stock of them and find confidence, like, yes, so that, yes, at the end of the householder's life, they also become sannyasins. At the end of when you go into retirement, you walk away from the world, you downsize, you get rid of the things you don't need, and you live the last part of your life as a monk, as a monastic. That was for everybody. So the only difference is when, right? And the reason that everybody is required of that in their life at some point is because all of us leave here as monks. None of us can take even a shred of clothing with us when this time comes, when the body drops. In order to be free, in order to find your bliss, in order to have your realization at that moment, you want nothing to call you back. You don't want to look over your shoulder at anything that you're leaving behind. You want to get yourself to a point of being ready. Pack your bags, get rid of the things you don't need, whittle down your social engagements to the minimum. Make sure that your family now becomes the people that you're encouraging with their spiritual life, and they should be encouraging you with yours. They shouldn't be sending your retired parents on cruises and retirement trips to Mexico. You encourage them. No, those days are finished. This isn't, in the West, retirement's the time to enjoy your life, but in real life, Retirement is when you prepare yourself, when you're doing your final, your final arrangements, so that you can leave this world laughing and not wistfully with your eyes looking back over your shoulder, right? And so that's for everyone. That's a universal teaching. So let me stop here.